welcome back to another video and to my own brand new Eastman SB56. So if you've been watching kind of, my little love affair with Eastmans, you'll know that this one was firmly the next one on the list. And since it is my birthday, it is only right that this finally joins the collection. So what I'll do in this video is I'll go over some sort of spec, of this guitar. There are some changes for the brand new models, and also I did get to play other brand new Eastman models, so I'll share just some thoughts on that later on. But for now, let's have a closer look at this guitar. And the first thing I'm hoping that comes across is how right they get the gold on these things. Obviously, so many brands do a gold top guitar, but the colour's very rarely right, and the way that colour sits on that carved top, I just think looks absolutely amazing. So body-wise, you've got a single piece mahogany body, and then a proper carved flame top, maple top as well. Don't know if it's flamed because it's gold, but it might be flamed underneath. Hardware is aged Goto, super lightweight. The pots are CTS, but they're actually 450k pots. I will, the 450 series 500k pots. So I'll flash up what they are now, and that'll become relevant later on. Pickups wise, you get in Lola 50s. As far as I'm concerned, new pickups, Lola, it just doesn't get any better than that. They are just the top of a very impressive tree of pickup makers. They are just the best as far as I'm concerned. So fretboard, usual Eastman thing, super nice piece of ebony, 12-inch radius, and the medium jumbo Jescar frets, which are my favourite. On the neck, you got a one-piece mahogany neck there as well. I'll get more onto the carve later on, because it's you might see it's quite big compared to the, say, 59 and stuff like that. But again, talk about that later. Mother of pearl inlays and stuff as well. Same thing on the headstock, usual thing, with the Goto SD91 tuners. Bone nut just there. And I think that's about it for the sort of top and bottom of it. You get the usual real nice case, isn't that you saw on my last Eastman. You get the nice case and your paperwork and all that sort of thing. But I reckon let's spend a few minutes going over the sounds. It's going to be through the Tone Master DI, but I'm turning the cab sim off and just experimenting with some third-party IRs, just as a little bit of change. But like I said, a couple of minutes doing that, and then I'll come back and sort of share more thoughts on this guitar. So I'll see you in a minute. to try and sort of capture some of the ownership experience of having these Eastman guitars. Imagine you're going home to play your guitar and you walk in and you're greeted with that. Tell me you're not instantly just going to want to play guitar. So for the third time now, I've chosen Eastman over Gibson. And I'm not going to lie, when it comes to me wanting a Goldtop with P90s, I did give a lot of thought to, should that be, I've got my other Eastmans, super happy with them. Should that be the Gibson I have, my Gibson, tick that box sort of thing? Because the price difference between one of these at full price, I did get a discount on this, but at full price, the difference between one of these and a Gibson standard 50s with P90s, obviously the Gibson's more, but it's not, it wouldn't have taken that much longer to kind of wait and get the Gibson, a couple of months more sort of thing. But I just had to remember, much like my other Eastmans, and every time that I've compared them with loads of different standard run Gibsons, the Eastmans are just leaps and bounds ahead. They feel better, they play better, they sound better. I think they're made with better, better hardware. They're lighter, and it just came down to that same thing, that once again, if you want to go from Eastman to Gibson, you're going to have to go to the custom shop. And these things aren't cheap, but they're 3 to 4 times more affordable than a custom shop. I'm definitely not at that level yet, because I've always said, I do want to have a Gibson. I do want to find my Gibson. I still think there's something pretty special in owning that really nice, good Gibson, But I just knew that if I'd have gone for a standard one over this, I'd have just been disappointed, and therefore, it had to be another Eastman guitar. So that's why I chose it. Setup wise, by the way, this guitar is box fresh. No one's done anything on it yet. And if I can come in, maybe show you if the camera will pick up the kind of fret ends and stuff like that, and the level of polish, the fit and finish, everything like that around the binding. Kind of try and get you into the neck there on both sides. Even where the control plate fits and stuff like that, it's a super nice fit all around. As far as out the box setup goes, it doesn't get a whole lot better than this kind of thing. It's 95% there. Now I do want to do some tweaks. I want to change the string gauge for one. Little personal tweaks that you kind of you get to like, kind of thing. And actually that brings me on to one of the changes for 2023. I'm guessing it happened at some point this year, but the truss rod used to be on these just your standard kind of Gibson style truss rod. So they route it out there, then you'd have a nut on there, single action truss rod, and that's kind of how they were. At some point they've now changed that, and it's now just a very small hole and a dual action truss rod. So I guess the pluses of that is where you've got that area of the neck, there's much less material removed in order to have that one single hole rather than the bigger route. And obviously that's probably good for strength, and long term, obviously with the dual action you can move it both ways, kind of thing. Although a guitar like this with a long tenor neck and a big beefy neck on it as well, I don't think a dual action is kind of essential, but it's kind of nice to have. The only thing I did notice though is where there's such a small hole kind of on that angle, if you like, it's very weak around the opening of the hole. I think that once you'd use that a couple of times, you'd start wearing that out. Whereas obviously usually there's a big route there and plenty of space to kind of move around. So probably a good thing on balance, but there is a little drawback to that as well. And I did get to play the other new Eastmans. So just as a quick kind of diversion from this guitar, because I know that most people won't have played them yet. So basically what they've done with, they have the age finishes like my T59, the varnish finishes, and they've got lots of custom age work on them to a really, really good quality as well. They've essentially done away with that now, which is pretty crazy, but you can see why, because that takes a lot of time. And like I said before, Eastman have grown a lot, and they've got way more dealers, points of sale, you know, so they've got to get guitars to them. So that'll be a way they've done it, is look, we'll still use a varnish finish, but we'll do no aging. They'll just look brand new. We'll be able to get more guitars out, and I have played those guitars. And I'm not going to go too far down there because I don't want to be the kind of, you know, the first person being negative about them. But I will say I noticed the finish on them was a lot thicker than it is on the older ones, and they were heavier as well. Whether that's to do with the finish, whether that's different types of wood, I don't know. You're still getting all the same brilliant hardware, the same pickups, you know, but it's just interesting that already we're seeing, you know, those older ones that I've got to know so well and love and share being replaced with something they can make more of more quickly, sort of thing. So there'll be a lot of reviews to come, I'm sure, on those guitars. Just be interesting to see what other people think. But I just wanted to share, you know, just a couple of thoughts on that, just while it was on my mind, fresh in my mind, should we say. One other thing to kind of mention with this guitar is the neck carves on them. So this is a SB59, which is known for having, you know, a 50 style, reasonably big neck. And if you're thinking they're similar, or you're hoping they're similar, you might be kind of in for a bit of a shock, because if I can bring them in close maybe. So you can see the 59 here, this one. Hopefully you can see the difference. This is way, way bigger. And I'm sorry that's not super scientific, but I'm hoping that will come across on the camera. So the 56 has a, you know, a seriously big neck on it, sort of thing. Now, I'm not the type of person who's got massive hands and therefore wants a bigger neck, sort of thing. You know, some people say, my hands are massive, I like a bigger neck. I've got, you know, reasonably small hands. But playing this thing, it never wears my hand out. And in fact, when I go back to the other one, I kind of miss the kind of fullness of this, because neck size is secondary, I think, to neck carve. You know, what's that carve like? Has it got edges? Is it a V? Is it deep? And all these little things, you know, you'll pick up on as a player. And the consistent kind of fat C of this neck just makes it feel so, so comfortable. And the thing's alive in your hands as well. The other thing I wanted to sort of mention with this guitar, it's like I get bad luck with Eastmans, even though, you know, even though I've kind of been very vocal about how much I like them. But at some point, you might have spotted it already, and if you have, fair play. The neck tone pot just here has taken, I reckon when someone was packing it or something, they had it like this and they just moved the guitar like that and just caught the tone pot. And what it's done, it's put a very, very small hairline crack through the knob. I don't know if the camera will pick that up. It's right through the top of the knob. But it's also bent the shaft a little bit this way. So I'll put a picture of it up of how it looks. So that's a little bit annoying that I'm going to have to change that pot. They're the 450 G series pots, CTS pots, and I checked my spare CTS pots and none of those have that. I think the pots they use on these have a narrower tolerance than a lot of the standard CTS pots, because they're 500k, but like I said, on a normal CTS pot, you could be up to 600k, you could be down to 400k because of the tolerance. Whereas these ones, I think they're slightly less tolerance than that. So I'm going to have to track down another pot. And I'm probably going to have to buy a full set of knobs as well, because I probably won't find the exact same colour to match the other three. So obviously that's a little bit kind of annoying. It's like a typical thing with me when I buy a new Eastman. There's always something that I need to sort out that's just down to unluckiness rather than the guitar. But obviously, you know, minor annoyance, you know, I'm going to get that fixed pretty quick and it'll be all good. You might have noticed when I did the sound demos, when I rolled the tone off, there was a bit of crackling sort of thing. So that pot, unfortunately, has definitely had it. So that's kind of a first little look at this guitar and kind of, you know, introducing it. I've got it, it's my birthday, happy days sort of thing. And you will see much, much more of it. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again for another one very soon.